we all know Rick Rubin and his hand of God. Whenever he touches a band, whenever he involves himself in something, it's because he has really great taste and tends to make stars. You don't talk so much about the bands that didn't work that he worked with. This is one of his failed bands. Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined, as always, by my festive and happy co-host, Alexander Volts. Say hello.
New year, old me.
It's Every Album Ever, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time. That's a whole new discography per episode, and today we'll be discussing every album by
Barkmarket.
Barkmarket. This is requested on Patreon by Olive Fox. I'm sure that's your God-given Christian name. Thank you so much for supporting and hanging out with us and being patient while we got to this request. Go to Patreon if you want to suggest for us. It's very nice, very nice. Barkmarket. We've done like a stream of requests, not in a row because we've had plenty of other episodes in between, but for like the main episodes, we've been doing a lot of requests. For some reason, in my mind, I'm like lumping these all in. It's like, oh, these all probably sound the same. So far, none of them have sounded the same at all.
I did the same thing. I thought we were gonna get some like alternative rock band, and I guess at times they do fall into that. But this is a noise rock band.
This is a noise rock band. I didn't know anything. I mean, I'm assuming you used your first time with
first go around.
Mine as well. Figured alternative rock. Figured something like that. Pleasantly surprised. How do you feel about them?
I'm okay about them. I get why they maybe have a, I'm gonna assume they have a dedicated, like, loyal fan base though. Like, if you like noise rock, this is very much a like seek this band out. But it didn't strike me the same way a band like another obscure band like God did.
God is a very different band. Check out that episode.
Yes. They're both noise rock, but different noise rock.
Yeah, this reminded me more of like a Brainiac, like a less weird Brainiac. Didn't sound like Brainiac, but the energy and there's a 90s-ness to them. I love the band, by the way. I was very taken by them, and I was very delighted with a good chunk of these records. Because it's noise rock, but it's like 90s alt rock, noise rock.
Yeah, we'll get into it. They kind of change a little bit as the times go on.
Yeah.
I was also surprised to find out they at some point were signed to Rick Rubin's record label.
Yeah, they were on Def American, or I think it was Def American at that point. And yeah, so we should probably talk about this like up front, because it's one of the because we all know Rick Rubin and his hand of God. Whenever he touches a band, whenever he involves himself in something, it's because he has really great taste and tends to make stars. You don't talk so much about the bands that didn't work that he worked with. This is one of his failed bands.
Yeah, so that like they're definitely like very interesting to me at times. I think at some point I got a little fatigued with their sound. I think they're very talented though. And I kind of think of it like the way like stoner metal or like doom metal is like my jam, where like there are probably bands in that genre where I'm like, it scratches that itch for me.
Doesn't have to do anything else really.
Other people probably just think it's okay. So like this is like a great band for like noise rock fans. Like seek this band out.
Well, I'm a huge noise rock guy,
Yeah.
And even then there's still moments where I'm like, all right, that's pretty samey. That's basically the same thing, and that's the only thing that I was able to like narrow down a worst, because it ended up being pretty easy. It's like, okay, well, it's just not they've done nothing different for too long. I'm getting tired of this.
Okay,
but even then, there's one stretch where they don't change much, but then they still end up changing again. And so from you look at the first album, you look at the last album, it's two completely different bands, and then if you pick an album out of the middle, it's also a different. So basically, there's three separate eras, three very distinct sounds, I think, within this whole discography.
Yeah, I would also agree with that. But I'm glad you had similar feelings that I did.
A little bit, yeah. And also, to go back to the Rick Rubin thing, it is fascinating because this is the first band where I've even thought of like, oh yeah, he's not always successful.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, people don't talk about your I don't want to call them a failure because they make really interesting music.
great music, commercial failure, but fucking the main dude, singer, guitarist, and creator David Sardy, he is doing okay, dude.
Yeah,
he's doing all right now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I pieced together. It was just like I believe he's an engineer. He's
a music producer.
Yeah,
but for a lot of mostly movies and movie scores, and he's worked on. I'm just gonna show. We can't show it on the video, but like, I'm gonna show you.
Do like that infomercial thing where it goes by real quick.
Actually, I can do that. I'll do that. I should leave a note of that and make sure I don't forget to do that. Because check this shit out. Look at his. This is his work in movies.
Oh, like Jesus Christ!
Look,
yeah,
it's still going. Still going. Still going. Still going. Still going. Still going. And then also these.
Oh shit! Yeah, he is very busy.
Very big. I mean, this is like every movie ever made. I've seen so many of these movies. I'm not even I don't watch a lot of movies
and video games as well,
and some video games. Not so prolific on the video game front, but
they're still there.
They're still there.
Yeah, that's what I kind of took is that
he did music for he did music of MacGruber. Holy shit!
Fucking legend.
Nice.
That's what this kind of sounded like the production aspects was picking up for him more than the band stuff was. So
definitely,
I get it.
But also, I was pretty taken, not immediately, but at a certain point, there's a turn, and then the production becomes stellar, and then from then on, it's like immaculate, pristine, perfect production where the performances are incredible. These guys are really fucking good, really tight, really energetic. But when the production really, I don't know, finds ways to highlight every snare crack or even his voice when he shouts in a certain way, where just everything feels so nice. Most noise rock bands are not produced this well.
Very, very like dynamic singer too, where he has screams, he talks, does the spoken word stuff, like reminded me of a lot of different singers, anywhere from like Eugene to from Oxbow to like Chris Cornell to like Brainiac, like you said. Like he's very like
interesting, interesting singer for sure.
And then there are tracks where like the drum, like you feel that drumming in your chest.
Oh yeah, and extremely punchy bass for most albums too. Extremely, and there were three. I mean, because he started it by himself with just a 4-track, and then he brought in members, and when he brought in people, it was just a 3-piece the whole way through, which is almost misleading because of how big it sounds. But as for how they formed, this is we have some notes here from our boy Tom Osman, who should all go follow and check out and support. He's very cool, and he just digs up dirt for us. He got us a couple interviews, one with David from 2019 from Peekaboo Magazine, and one with the whole band from 93, which he got off pauseandplay.com. And in terms of his origin story, David Sardy, he says, I kind of came up playing in hardcore punk bands, but I picked up the guitar as a kid watching Elvis playing. I think my earliest memories of music is probably seeing 68 Comeback rebroadcast in the early 70s when I was a kid. I think he had like his parents had vinyl lying around, Beatles, Simon & Garfunkel. Check out that episode. Alex loves them. And so the Beatles were a big inspiration. No surprise there. And then when asked about how he created Barkmarket, he says, as a young kid, I had 2 tracks. One, I played in hardcore punk bands. The other, I had a friend who was the other most talented person I know when I was a kid, who was just one of these candle burning too bright type of people. And he was always, let's create something. He says, the only reason I'm an artist, it's because of my friendship with him. He says he was also making home recordings. He says it was before the era of 4-track. We were just recording on anything we could find, whether it was a toy that made a squeak or a guitar or a piece of metal we could find, literally anything, and then just creating songs out of those things. He joined a bunch of bands in New York. Any band that needed a guitar player, he jumped on it, and then eventually he just started recording by himself. And what he recorded by himself got signed in those. It's amazing how that was able to happen.
Networking, baby.
Hell yeah. He did put out one self-released tape, I believe, which is self-titled, from that came out in 1987. But we are not talking about that because, well, I don't know why we're not talking about that, but we're just not.
Yeah,
Maybe we should have.
It might not even exist, but
I wonder if it does. Yeah, it's an hour long.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I didn't even know it existed until after we got these notes. So we're bad at our jobs. I'm bad at my job, but maybe we'll cover it in loose ends at some point. What we are covering is everything after that. So I believe it's 6 albums, 2 EPs. No, 5 albums, 2 EPs. Yeah. Not counting the cassette that he recorded by himself with a 4-track. First album that we're talking about came out in 1988. Last one, 1996. And I suppose we should get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh yeah. So this is, I believe, when he's still all by his lonesome. I should double check that as well, though, because who fucking knows?
Who knows? Too obscure.
Don't know. It doesn't tell you anywhere. There's no information. Maybe he's by himself. Maybe he has a band. Either way, this came out in 1988. This is 1-800-GOD-HOUSE. No. There we go. I was certainly not expecting the opening track to start like this.
Should have more bagpipes.
It's about 2.5 minutes of that kind of atmospheric, sample-driven build-up.
Yeah, got to the meat and potatoes for you guys.
Yes. Recorded like shit, of course, but still pretty damn cool.
Also, this is someone on YouTube. He goes by Matt GJH. And he's uploaded a lot of the more obscure Barkmarket stuff.
Very nice. Yeah, that's why we were able to get some of these albums, because this is not streaming.
So yeah, that's from like someone ripped it from the vinyl, and then actually says it was digitized by someone named Matthew Bailey in an early 2000s Barkmarket Yahoo group.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and that's where a lot of these come from, was that early like Yahoo fan page,
early internet fucking forums.
Yeah,
sharing shit.
I just wanted to share that, and this guy said he would share it on Kazaa if you're old. Audio Galaxy, I'd never even heard of that, and so that's an interesting little.
Oh yeah.
Also personal favorite.
Oh really? Holy shit.
Yeah. I think this one has a lot of personality that shines. It really shines through for me in ways other albums don't. Even throughout, this is not the optimal way to listen to it, but it's what I got. But I still feel I got it, and it still worked for me more often than not.
This album caught me real off guard. I mean, you never know what to expect with a first album with a brand new band, but definitely wasn't expecting this much creepiness, this many crazy samples, this much experimentation, I guess.
Yeah.
It's pretty grimy. It's pretty dirty. It's really rough production, but it's interesting as shit.
Lots of character going on here. It's very, we fast forward it, but like you said, lots of eerie white noise goes into that feedback. And then when that song kicks in, it's just it feels so good on that opening track, Poverty.
Because we get a re-recording of several of these tracks. We get a re-recording of Poverty, Salvation, Sunny, and 10 Convictions. This version of, honestly, I like most of these versions better than the re-recorded versions.
Yes, especially Sunny.
Oh, really?
Sunny has way more character to me. I like really leans into like that southern twangy thing.
Yeah.
The bass is like very bluesy, and like I think the lyrics are the same on the re-recording, but they sound like way more psychotic here.
Interesting. Actually, Sonny's the only one where I prefer the other version more.
Yeah.
But my favorite out of all of them that I like the most here is not the song I like the most, but out of all the re-recorded songs, Salvation, because of that, at least because of that intro alone, because it's layers upon layers of these really creepy preacher samples just on top of each other, and it's done really well. It's not that long or overdone. It's a really cool intro.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff on this album, and I guess maybe even the next two albums, really like driven by bass.
Yeah.
Like that's the glue for this band.
Yeah, a lot of groovy bass lines. Drums, of course, but they're fairly minimal. At least they're really minimal on Salvation. There's like these metallic slaps are the things keeping the beat, and guitar is clangy. It's very clangy. Yes. It's a very clangy album. Although that doesn't change that much. I guess it's a very clangy band, but here, because of the roughness of everything, the clanging seems extra.
Yeah. I like 10 Convictions. Like there's not really a lot of traditional singing up until that point, and that song actually features something resembling a melody.
Yeah.
I like the addition of the piano. It's a great standout track to me.
It really reminds me of the Birthday Party. Actually, these first two albums really remind me of the Birthday Party. I mean, they're maybe it's not on this album so much, but there are moments where he just sounds like Nick Cave. Like he's clearly trying. Maybe it's probably an overstatement to say that he's trying to sound like him, but it sounds like him a lot. And especially with the groovy bass lines and the really tribally drums, it's like, man, that's Birthday Party as fuck. Check out that episode. Do like the executive quite a bit. Those guitars, I feel like they really open up things. And then when the bass and drums come in, it fucking rules. Very, very catchy, very groovy.
Home is like one of the few like sound collages where I'm like, it works for me. I like the way it helps break up the album. It's more orchestral, like these orchestral samples. It gets oddly dancey and like alternative rock driven, which I was not expecting at all. The
first chunk is like this. Yeah, I find it to be like a cacophony of terrifying samples. I mean, it's really well done. Very cool stuff. And then, the song, that song is it's bizarrely poppy by comparison. It's like super post-punk sounding, very bubbly, very snappy. Yeah, like dancey, like you said.
And then, it's the perfect segue into like clap dance, and that may be the craziest thing they ever do.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's like really, really rhythmic machinery clanging around.
Yeah, it's very metallic. Yeah, rhythmic machinery, metallic. There's claps, of course. Like it's almost like someone was like, I bet you guys can't make like a dancey noise song, and they're like, We'll do it.
Oh, they'll do it. I feel like it went on a little too long for what it is, but I think it's still great. Very fucking weird, interesting thing. They have a John Cale cover, which is, it just goes to show, check out that episode of Velvet Underground, which I hate. And if you want to hate me, watch that episode. It just goes to show how much I genuinely don't like John Cale, because that's like the only song on the album I was like, all right, it's a little bit weaker.
Yeah.
And then I find out later on that it's a John Cale cover.
Yeah, I finally got around to watching Todd Hayes' Velvet Underground documentary, and I think it's a very good documentary. But I love John Cale even more after watching that.
Would I like him more?
I think it may like add some context for you. Maybe you don't like the music more after watching it, but I think after hearing like Lou Reed speak and John Cale speak, like you may be like, okay, I respect these guys now.
Maybe, because I just recently read a quote. Eugene from Oxbow wrote it in a Substack about something that Diamond Nagala said, and it was one of the funniest fucking. I mean, she's a gnarly broad.
Oh, I just going down that rabbit hole recently.
Dude, she rules. But she said, I think Lou Reed asked to do a duet with her or something like that. And she said, why sing with you? You can't even sing on key. And he said, well, some of us don't think that's that important. And she said, your guitar player shows up tonight with his guitar out of tune. I bet you say something. Like, dude, she rules. That's how I feel about that whole fucking band.
There was a story where in one of his earlier bands, sorry, fucking Velvet Underground side quest here. They were supposed, I forget what the band was called, and they were gonna play on a boat. And for some reason, Lou Reed didn't want to do it. So he purposefully broke his hand. And I think it was the drummer in the band was like, you're a shit guitar player anyways. You could still sing. We're doing the fucking gig.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Turns out he's a shit singer too. He writes some good songs. I like his solo stuff a lot more than Velvet Underground. But...
Also, I found out Gina from Baroness is a Lulu defender.
All right, so we have to murder her now, or viciously defend her.
Viciously defend her.
We don't know yet. I mean, I don't know yet because I haven't heard the whole thing. I'm very excited to at some point.
We'll find out one day.
Oh yes, we will. But the closer, Tongue and Ground, is fucking weird. It's like the most psychedelic thing on here, probably very drony, very unsettling.
Yeah, more of like a avant-garde experimental song.
It's really industrial in an early Swans way, which I wasn't expecting. There's a little bit of that in this band, not a whole lot, but mostly in the early records. You get some like early industrial stuff, which I find to be pretty fucking cool. I don't know what I was expecting, but it definitely wasn't this. It's abrasive, it's strange, it's ugly, it's creepy, but it's weirdly groovy and lighthearted at the same time. It's like a form of noise rock I've never heard before. It's fucking very cool. And at this point, I was like, I have no clue where they're going to end up. And I would have never put the two together if you showed me any other album.
No.
It's such a weird, different starting point. Very cool album. And Alex's personal favorite.
Which I wasn't expecting. I feel like that's more of a Mike move to like
the weird early album,
like debut outlier. Yeah,
for sure. So it's a new year. Maybe it is a new you. Yeah, you never know, baby. But moving on to the follow-up. This came out in 1989. Well, actually, before we... There's one thing I want to mention here before I move on. What track is it? Wait. Sunny, I guess, is live. Sunny, Don't You Know is live.
I thought that was on the...
Maybe it's both. Sunny is live and... what track is it? The Executive, which I believe is track 5, if I can count correctly. Nope, 10 Convictions. That one has it ends in a run-out groove, so it's basically an endless track. And Tom notes here that his version of Evil by Sonic Youth also does that in the last track, where it just goes endless.
I have Omar Rodriguez Lopez albums that have that.
Yeah, that's neat. It's a thing you'll never get with digital. You'll never get with CD.
It's also kind of annoying. Like the first time I didn't know that was a thing.
And it went on and on and on.
I was like, what the? There's no way.
This is a 35-minute song. What the hell? But yeah, it's time to move on. I don't know if they're... You know what? This is probably a band at this point. And the band members, which I think now is finally a good time to mention them. We got same other two the entire time. We got John Nolan on bass and Rock Savage on drums. Fucking killer names, dude. Rock Savage? I'm sure his real name is not Rock, but maybe it's Savage.
He should legally change it to... Maybe he... like The Rock and Macho Man, even though The Rock wasn't a thing.
Well, he's just two wrestlers in one man.
Yeah, it sounds like a poor name too.
It sure does. But maybe I'm assuming those two are on this next record if they weren't on this one already. But yeah, let's do it. This is 1989's. It's either, depending on where you're listening, where you find it, it's either called Easy Listening or the Easy Listening record or the Easy Listening CD.
Easy Listening.
Yep.
Sea shanties.
Yep. Like Turkish music or something. Hell yeah. Production has taken a bit of a bump up.
Also, it helps when it's not ripped from a vinyl.
We're hearing all the crackling and all that. This album is also not streaming. Still with those groovy ass bass lines, but still kind of clangy.
Yeah. And I don't know if we'll get to it, but there's a part where like the guitar is just like almost jazz-like.
Yeah, it's like a real funky chorus. Yeah,
There it is.
very funky.
Or like, yeah, if I heard that in like Nine Inch Nails or Devo, I'd be like, oh, that's like a sample like loop thing,
Yeah.
right?
And his vocals are very, very pointed now, very upfront. Very fucking cool.
Very cool. And personal favorite.
Oh wow, there we go.
Yeah, this one. As soon as this came on, I was delighted, and I was like, "All right, this band's gonna rule." Because this early, they're already this interesting.
Yeah.
This is like an extension of the first album, but way tighter.
I would say, yeah, it leans into like industrial music.
Sure does.
Way more than the previous one.
And it's why I like it. The fucking sounds of metal and the clanging, and it's still really funky and groovy and really hooky. The vocals are they're not quite as buried. They're not quite as ethereal and psychedelic, I guess. It's more like a guy. It's a guy singing at you now. And this version they have. I guess the only versions of Sunny that exist are live versions, because it says this version is also live.
And yeah, like I said earlier, I feel like on the previous album, I like that like Southern twang.
Yeah.
Like I think it adds a lot of character to it. And then you take it away and it's a noise song and it's serviceable. It's fine. But I disliked the other one more.
I thought it still had some twang, but maybe not as much like the old acoustic guitars.
It does. It's like backloaded at the end.
Yeah.
Or like the lyrics are still very like maybe the vocal performances, but yeah, those guitars are no longer there.
Gotcha. I still love it. I love how Happy comes in as track 2, super industrial and heavy, with plenty of like this wild noise rock guitar shit, rhythmic and pounding. But yeah, and I don't know what the drums sound so strange on here in a lot of spots. I mean, I believe, well, honestly, there's a lot of different people. It might be a drum machine. I'm starting to see like some credits here, because Bill Waldron plays drums on the opener, and Rock Savage plays drums on the closer. But we get like plenty of tracks that aren't credited at all. So I imagine those are drum machines. They sound like it. By America is really lively and fast. Another one really reminds me of The Birthday Party.
I thought that one was okay. There's a point where they lean into more feedback in the guitar, and I'm like, that's when it gets interesting to me.
I dig it. I dig it. Lots of toy sounds in the beginning of the Puppet Master.
Yeah,
really atmospheric and creepy.
Yeah, that's a good little soundscape.
Yeah,
thing.
It's the most lo-fi track on the album. Really, which makes it sound extra strange compared to the rest. It's not much of a song. It's more of a soundscape for sure. But
yeah.
And The Mirror is a song where he sounds just like Nick Cave from Birthday Party Nick Cave. Yeah,
I also noted that. And then I was surprised that it gets like oddly like a rockin' song. It's still like rooted in that birthday party like madness, but it does get really rockin' for some reason.
It does. That bass really carries it. And it's more Southern and garbagey. Like I really when they lean into that Southern grimy, like old desert twanginess, it does fucking rule.
It's always just like one song. Like I'm like, I want more of it.
They dabble in different ways as they go on too. What was it on The Mirror, as well as You'll Never Find, and what else? That might be it. Yeah, just those 2 tracks. We got Mark Ribot or Mark Ribot. I don't know how to pronounce his name because I suck. We have him playing guitar on there, and according to Tom here, he said on a recent interview with Mark Maron, Les Claypool said his favorite guitar solo ever is Mark's on Chewing Gum by Elvis Costello.
Interesting. I've never heard of that man until right now.
Yeah. He's a guitarman. I forget what he's in. I'm gonna double check real quick. Ribot. I was right. Mark Ribot.
Oh, Tom Waits, Elvis Costello, John Zorn. Okay.
No Wave and free jazz. All
right.
So he's a wild man for sure. And what else we got here? Fucking Condemned Bank has big muffled shitty production. It's a weirdly badly produced song out of the whole album.
Yeah, a little bit of a spoiler alert. I like the one that comes up later.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
I like Foreign Places a lot. It made me think of the Police's Behind My Camel, where it's just it's this
check it out, it's please.
Fucking Grammy award-winning instrumental song. Where it's like this band who has no business doing that type of music, but it's still like Barkmarket. It's still like weird. I really enjoyed it. I think my favorite track on this album is Untitled, though. Just like those like weird electronic distorted backing vocals.
Well, first, before we move on from Foreign Places, because I don't think we give them enough of impression of how fucking weird it is.
Yeah,
because it's like basically a hip hop drum beat with Middle Eastern sounding melodies with fucked up robot vocals. It and it's lo-fi and trippy as shit. It's a good fucking song.
It was made in a lab for me.
Exactly. It's pretty fucking rad. Untitled, which is like the most misleading title, because when you think of Untitled, historically, it's a transition track. It's a little nothing. This is a full ass song.
Yes.
Very snappy for this era of the band anyway. And then it's got a really fucking great bass line. By the end of it, it just completely falls apart on itself. Intentionally, of course.
And I was like, are those backing vocals? But looking at the credits, they are. Or are those electronics? And I love that. And they're just like so weird and unique. I love them so much.
Good stuff. Pink Stainless Tail is one of the more normal things on here, quote unquote. It's very dancey. It's pretty accessible.
Did they play a Devo song before they started?
Huh?
On Pink Stain, is that like a Devo sample?
I don't know.
Well, we're gonna
find out.
We're gonna find out.
I didn't catch any Devo. Check that episode.
Oh. I don't know if it's a sample, but it certainly
sounds like
Uncontrollable Urge. Yeah. It might just be
a similarity. It might be a sample that's like really fucked up and distorted and played through a bunch of delay.
But either way, I thought of Uncontrollable Urge. Yeah. So I was like, oh, this is a very like Devo inspired or like homage to Devo.
It is a very weird song too. It's not like bad shit like a lot of the other ones, except around halfway it fucking loses its mind.
I was gonna say it does devolve into bad shit.
Indeed, it does. And then the closer you'll never find. The intro is I find it to be hilariously rhythmic. It's like it's almost like one of those cheesy 80s songs inspired by African music. I guess you could throw in Toto as an example of like cheesy 80s music that's like, oh, we're gonna do a song about Africa. Let's call it Africa.
Yeah. This album, it's so weird. There are times where like I think that's a good way. It does flirt with cheesy 80s sounding electronic stuff, but they do it in such like a cool, unique way.
I've never heard it done like this. It's industrial and heavy and clangy and metal, but also really groovy and snappy and really hooky. It's a fucking it's like, I mean, the birthday party influence is very prominent, but it doesn't take away or step on any of the personality that it has. Mm-hmm. It's just hard to narrow. Like at this point, I had no idea what the fuck these guys even do because there's just too many things that are happening. And I don't know. It's fucking amazing. I can't believe I haven't encountered this band before. This album rules. It's a shame it's not streaming, but my personal favorite. And now I think it's time to move on to their first. Oh, well, they're on XXX now.
I think eventually, because on streaming, it's still licensed to American.
Yeah, it was re-released.
Universal.
It was re-released by Deaf American not too long after with apparently a slightly different track listing. So this, I guess the original track listing. Yeah, we didn't listen to the original track listing because the version of streaming has the American version. So, man, I kind of want to hear it with that track listing, but it's fine. Here we go. This is 1991's Vegas Throat.
Different fucking band.
I mean, it's the best they've ever sounded at this.
For sure. But nothing about it you would ever guess. Even his voice doesn't sound the same.
Yeah.
This is like 90s as fuck.
I feel like it's missing some of that, like, that primal energy.
There's no... The industrial aspects are gone.
Yeah.
They're gone. Which is very sad for me.
I mean, they're still a very loud band.
Yeah. Really tight, too. That is a cool song. It's basically like
post-hardcore at that point, essentially. Maybe like not quite as developed because this is very early, but
and this is my worst least favorite.
You know what? I don't agree, but I'm not mad at that.
Good.
I would have given it to this one if I didn't give it to something else.
I hope we just keep alternating. Before.
I know. So this one, I think this one, I like it. I think it's a good album, but it does have a lot of some iffy pacing.
There's a lot of sameness on this album, which ultimately ended up being its downfall for me, especially like I get re-recording Poverty if the first album's not widely available,
and Salvation and 10 Convictions, and I like all the original versions better.
Yeah, so like that's a lot going against it. And then it's just like it's like they're still chaotic, but they're more focused, and it like they don't feel as special or as unique to me as they did on the previous two outings.
Yeah. This isn't like a particularly long album, but it does get pretty samey, and each song is pretty, I mean, it's wildly impressive. These guys are, now we have the full band here. Without a doubt, the full band is here, and you could hear three musicians, and it sounds like a band now, whereas before it sounded like a band, but it sounded like one of those bands where you don't know what the fuck went into the making of it because it's so weird and dynamic. This is like a band. And there's plenty of stuff on here that sounds really fucking good. But I was really let down by this album because of how much I love the last one, how much I like the debut, and how engaged I was with how weird they were. And this is not that weird. This is like possibly their least weird album.
Yeah, it's weird for normal people, but I
would say the most normal of normal, because that opening track, who hasn't heard a song like that?
I guess also like heavy music has like faded so far away from the mainstream. Maybe in the 90s, like you could show this to more normal people and it wouldn't be that jarring, but like you show this to some kids,
some Zoomer now, maybe, yeah,
they're like, Jesus Christ. Also went to the record store the other day, shout out to them for playing Nirvana's in Utero, all the way through. They were playing like Tourette's and Radio Friendly Unit Shifter, and they did not skip a fucking track. And I was just like, good, fucking good.
Let them sit through it. Next is fucking Bleach. Check out that episode of Nirvana. Yeah, so this is like a completely new direction. What we heard on that track, it's not too much veering from that on the rest of the album. There's like a lot of, I mean, each song is pretty dense with a lot of really good arrangements. But there's plenty of songs that I wasn't moved by, like Diddy track 2 on the reissue, I believe. It's really grimy. It's noise rock. It's very noise rocky, but I just don't find the riffs that engaging at all. It's some cool guitar lines, but I just don't really love any of the riffs. And it's so weirdly, like the production is so pristine that it's almost jarring to hear these dirty riffs because it just feels too. I don't know. It just feels too clean for what like we got so accustomed to the really really greasy shit from the last two albums.
I don't mind it being more clear. If anything, I think it can help like the noise aspects like cut through and be more efficient.
It's not really, yeah.
Like I said, it's just too similar. Even like on I Don't Live, which
I don't know today. Yeah.
I didn't realize that was Jimi Hendrix.
Nor did I.
But I was like, I know I've heard this song. Where have I heard this?
Check it out on Jimi Hendrix.
And then I was like, oh shit. Because yeah, that's not like a super like popular Hendrix song. So
yeah. And then they cover Backstabbers by the OJs, which I've never heard.
That is a fucking weird cover.
I fucking don't like the song. It's really strange and it's really lo-fi and it's a lot of creepy sounds. I did appreciate that, but it's more weird than enjoyable.
Yeah, they like doing their like soundscape white noise stuff, and it is more of that than a traditional song.
100%. I actually don't even like this version of 10 Convictions like at all. Yeah. It's just so cleaned up. It's so cleaned up, and David is doing a lot of really, really 90s alternative indie guy vocal fry, and he doesn't sound bad. He's not a bad singer by any means. He's just doing a lot of things on this album that I don't care for. And it just feels like a normal song, but it didn't feel like a normal song before. And everything just felt so cleaned up and nice. And
then, yeah, it does end up, it's not like a long album, but it does end up feeling a little long in tooth. A
little bit. I'm not a big fan of Fat Stamp at all. There's a section around 3 minutes in that's really great though. But aside from that, I do like a lot of these songs though. Like
I will say like Pencil almost sounds like a grunge song at times.
That reminded me immediately of Brainiac, which is like, oh wow. And then I realized that Brainiac wasn't even around when this album came out. Like they formed a year later. Check that episode. And yeah, it's snappy, it's kooky, it's catchy as shit. Even the vocals sound, I found even the vocals sound like Tim from Brainiac a little bit. Great chorus. And then it takes a shift in the final 2 minutes where it just comes in with this giant hard rock riff. I think it sounds pretty fucking great.
I do feel like on this album, they do start playing around with the loud, quiet, loud dynamic, which wasn't really a thing on the previous albums.
Yeah. It's becoming a lot more like I guess they call it alt metal, alternative metal. This is more alternative metal. That's what I was trying to think of the whole time listening to the discography, like a Jane's Addiction, like a Faith No More, where it's like, it's heavier and more abrasive. It's crazier, but it still feels 90s and it's still not that inaccessible. It's still fairly accessible.
Yeah. They have like this weird overlap of like, oh, this could be like a Sonic Youth song, or this could be like a Butthole Surfers song.
Yeah. But overall, I think it's just fine. I think it's a good album, but I do think it kind of overstays its welcome a little bit. And there's still, I don't mind most of these songs. The new Since the Patsy, this version of Poverty, Pitbull, I think they're all good. Hydrox God, those are all fucking good songs. But as a whole, I felt myself getting a little tired. And Alex's worst and least favorite, is that what I heard you say?
Yes.
Okay.
So one more for me.
Indeed. But we have plenty more. And then this album, I don't know if he's on the next album, but Howie Weinberg did master this one, and we've talked about Howie in the past because he's done basically every band we've ever covered.
Yeah,
he has his finger in every possible fucking. I mean, I'm not even going to click on the thing because I've clicked on it before. It's massive.
That's where Dave got his work ethic from.
Probably, yeah. But time to move on. Here we go, baby, and this is where Rick Rubin comes into the picture. He steps in, and oh boy. Here we go. This is 1993's Gimmick.
Is this the point that I'm supposed to think you find? I was flexing wires around you. The big eye on the back of the bread line tied in that.
Real confident confident 90s guy vocals.
I also like, because the other album was so samey to me.
Yeah.
I really like the guitar playing on this track. Like, it feels way more invigorating.
Yeah. Great riffs. A nice mix of like anthemic alt metal with just hideous noise rock.
Which I'm surprised didn't happen more often.
I know. Yeah.
Really satisfying production, really satisfying performances. I mean, it's snappy as shit. Really tight.
I didn't even know Rick Rubin produced it until right now, but I'm gonna give this one best.
Really, this one. I imagine a lot of people give this one best. If I had to guess, it's just something I feel like this might be the best for a lot of people. It would be best for me. It's second place for me.
There's this a lot of variety here.
Yes.
And it's just like such a breath of fresh air after the last album too.
Yeah, definitely perked me back up 100%.
And yeah, it's just this obscure 90s album that I like feel like should be talked about more often, honestly.
I can't believe this band hasn't been talked about more. I mean, they're really fucking good. And this album is pretty damn great. The opener, of course, really fucking rips. Whipping Boy is a fucking awesome follow-up, really snappy with a super punchy bass.
Like I could picture like either one of those songs being like singles and like trying to market it through that way. Really surprised by Static.
Static rules.
I love the bass playing on it. There's like this minimal Western or like desert rock if you want. And then it just goes into noise rock. I love it.
Yeah, fucking there's like even banjos on Static. It's culminates in some of these really big, satisfying sections with fucking awesome guitar textures throughout. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. It's a 5-minute song, but boy, does it make use of it. It fucking builds and builds. The main riff to Dumb Jaw, I was pretty much like, all right, it's not so great. And then, but I mean, it's more like the transitions in that song make the song as good as it is.
Yeah, I like the like aggression in that song, and like you said, the like transition going from one to the other, and it's like you notice some, but it's just like this really like hard hitting song. I think like Gather also works as like this nice like breather, almost this like Ween like song.
Spacer track, it's fucking nuts. It's really kooky and kind of silly. It's really rhythmic. It's kind of similar to the early weird stuff, but I think even stranger. I don't find it to be like super enjoyable, but it's very interesting. And reason why I appreciate it more on this album is because it sets up Hack It Off so fucking well.
It does,
because Hack It Off is one of their best fucking songs. I think it's so goddamn good. It's like the heaviest they've been up to this point.
Yeah. If you want the heavy biscuits, this goes straight to Hack It Off.
It fucking rules. I find the pacing of this album not so great on the first half, or like just up until Gatherer, really, because as soon as Hack It Off comes on, it's just a fucking onslaught until the end of the album.
I will say, like, you know, my complaint is I do feel like maybe it should have ended at Carjack. I'm not really a fan of the Shill or Better Made Man. Especially like Better Made Man has this like brief thing with violins at the end.
Cellos, yeah.
I'm like, why is that this not?
I know. Dude, so that song, it's like, it's kind of more the same, but I think it's written pretty well. I think it's a good song. And then the final minute just gets so fucking I mean, it's such a great final minute. And then after that, then it ends with these gorgeous cellos. And it's like, on the whole album, where the fuck was that?
And yeah, I don't even need it on the whole album. Just like there was something in there, like there's something in there that I like, and there's not enough
it's
of it.
gone immediately and the album's over. But What else? Curio comes in real strong. That bass feels amazing. It's mean and slower. It's one of the slower tracks. It somehow feels like more serious than a lot of the other songs in a weird way.
Mm-hmm. It is also funny. I feel like normal bands with tracks like Static or Radio Static, especially a band like this, which does like the soundscapes or little interludes, I would think those would be like the little interludes, but they both rule.
Yeah, Radio Static is the coolest sample driven thing they've done since the second album, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Really twangy and acoustic, with like that old ass acoustic guitar.
Again, you get it on the one song.
Yeah. It has this creepy spoken word stuff. It sounds like, text to speech software. I don't know what the fuck you'd call that.
Yeah.
Because when you say robot vocals, you think of like Iron Man robot, like Black Sabbath Iron Man robot.
Or ELO's Time.
Yeah. This is like like fucking Microsoft fucking voice or whatever. What is it called? I don't know what the hell it's called. I'm an idiot.
No one. They're using those TikTok voices.
The TikTok voices. That's the one.
Yeah.
But it's a cool fucking song. Redundant is a little bit on the nose. It feels a lot like the rest, but it's still snarky and grungy. I think it's a pretty strong track. And then Carjack. Yeah, I mean, it does.
That's kind of a return to form. Well, if you want to say that about a band this early.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the most noisy.
Fuck yeah, and it's almost got like prog rock elements. Really hits so hard, especially as it goes on. Love it. And the show. I mean, it's probably the weakest, but I don't know. Like, it still feels good. I can't knock it that much. I don't love the riffs, but it's performed amazingly.
This is a great middle ground for the band, I feel like.
Yeah, it's a good album. It's continuing the stuff they set up on the last one, but it's even tighter. It's far more interesting. It's intense. It's confident. It's really confident, and it's bold. Like, David is going so hard on these songs. Like, he's like, nope, I'm fucking doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can hear it in his voice, his vocal style. It's just so confident. The writing feels extremely 90s, but there's a lot of noise rock just bleeding into it. And I do appreciate the moments of weirdness. They're not that often, but I do. I'm glad they're here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't love the pacing in the front half, but I still think it's a pretty fucking good album.
Mm-hmm.
Alex is best. And
Also, not to cut you off, but seeing Tom's notes here, we were gushing about the cello playing.
It's right. Holy shit. Yeah, it's played by Jane Scarpantoni. And Tom notes, now that's Italian as fuck. Sure is. She was on Ween's White Pepper and Swan's the Seer. Check out both those episodes.
She's on cool shit.
She's on great shit.
Yeah.
Great shit. I love both those albums. I really love both those albums. I really love one of those a lot more, but they're both incredible albums. So yeah, this album is where Rick Rubin comes into the picture. It was executive produced by him, and Tom says here, and the hand of God doth descend upon the mortals, because once Rick Rubin touches you with his little pudgy finger, that's it. Your life is different now.
Yeah, not that anyone cares, but I feel like Rick Rubin used to go to wrestling shows a lot, and I haven't seen him at a wrestling show. So,
well, he's still a huge wrestling fan. Yeah. I mean, he talked it up for like 20 minutes on Rogan when he was on Rogan. It was the funniest fucking thing. It's like, it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Just explaining how great wrestling is.
Rick Rubin and Werner Herzog.
Great voices.
This most unlikely wrestling fans.
Werner Herzog's a wrestling fan?
He is.
That's the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It seems jarring, but the more he talks about it, the more you're like, it makes sense. And it's so funny. He was watching like really bad, like when Linda McMahon was like comatose in a wheelchair, and Vince McMahon would like make out with like a younger attractive women like right on top of her, and he's just like, what a spectacle.
It's what it is.
He also said something that bothered me, where he said they show you, and he's like, the matches aren't important because they show you commercials during the matches. I'm like, fuck, he's right. He's fucking right.
Yeah. They literally interrupt the matches. I mean,
Yeah, they don't do it with promos, but the matches.
If they did it with promos, that'd be fun. Now we're talking about wrestling. I don't even watch wrestling, but I just appreciate it so much.
So many side quests on this episode.
I know. So this is from the interview from '93. It says, to this day, Dave Sardy can't figure out what producer / American Recordings president Rick Rubin sees in Barkmarket. And it says, he's probably wondering why he signed us right now, especially when he heard this record. Honestly, they thought we were going to grow out of playing weird, intense music. And that's a quote from Rubin. I'm like, sorry. That's
kind of disappointing. I feel like Rubin, like in his core, in his soul, would be.
So the thing that I've learned about Rubin, listening to him speak and looking at the albums that he's touched. Man, I make it sound so like angelic and
touched by God. Yeah.
It's that he wants to tap into. He'll see a thing in a band and he'll see there's a thing there. I need to bring out what that thing is that I feel is in there. And when you listen to what was Vegas Throat, you hear a thing. I mean, alt metal, and this is exactly when alt metal was blowing up. You see it; they're extremely talented, really tight. He's got a good sound for a good sound going. It's a good album. I could see where he thought like, that's going to be a thing, and then what they gave him was more of that, but a little weirder. He's probably thinking like, all right, this is not exactly super commercial friendly. This is a less commercially friendly album than Vegas Throat for sure. It's not like light years less accessible, but it is less accessible. And by like the next EP or so, it's like, okay, these guys are not going, they're leaning into whatever fucking thing they're into at the moment, not so much this thing that I thought I had envisioned. But it's like, it's still in there. It's just manifesting in a way that's not commercially viable, which I think is better, but maybe some people wouldn't agree. Dave goes on to say, he says, I've had this argument with people at the label. I maintain that this intense, heavy music is as viable as anything else. It just takes a different approach. He says, we really fly in the face of a lot of the stuff that's going on in the quote unquote alternative scene, in which everybody is writing la 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 pop songs and hoping it's going to break on MTV.
If anything, I bought up Nirvana's In Utero. I feel like they would have felt validated when that album came out. Like, fucking see?
I mean, that's the same year, 93.
Yeah, the biggest band in the fucking world is leaning into this like feedback stuff.
And it was not received well, if you remember.
I
mean, you weren't there.
I was, and I love that album. So
it's a good album, but I mean, you're going to get naysayers and people who shit on everything. But at the time, I guess when there was no internet, people were still like, what are they doing? And they were being adventurous, you fucking prudes. But Alex is best. And now we got Rick Rubin on board. Let's see if he's excited about what they do next, because now we have a little EP and it's listed on Wikipedia incorrectly because I wrote down the wrong dates and listened to them in the wrong order, but now it's all fixed up. This came out in 1994. This is the Lardroom EP.
Let me tell you something, brother. I did like a spit take.
Yeah? Yep. It's hard rocking it out, dude. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fucking sick.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I love Pius and Mansour making it, so.
Yeah. And production is better than ever.
I can't.
90s, those vocals, dude.
Yeah.
Real 90s.
I can't imagine it's what North fans like.
No.
How can it be the time to win? When all of a sudden your feet, I can't waste to swim. I drown.
Great tone. God, it's really produced in a way that highlights every fucking hit.
There's a fine line between like this and a band like Saliva.
Yeah.
But this ends up on the cool side. I love some generic hard rock like that.
Indeed, worst least favorite. Now,
That's fine.
this EP, it's a good EP. It's not a bad EP by any means, but they are officially, I feel like, stagnated. Like, sure, they haven't done anything that like Southern cocky grungy before, but we've also heard plenty of that at this point.
I don't care. I love I Drown and Dig In. Like
Those two tracks are fucking great. It's cool guy rock. Let's call it what it is. It's cool guy rock.
It is, yeah.
And it is cool.
In the 90s. Yeah.
It is cool guy 90s rock, and it is pretty cool. It is really satisfying the way it's produced. If you bump that when you're driving, you're gonna get pumped. You're gonna get pumped and you're gonna start speeding. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But it still feels pretty redundant given the last two albums that we got. Like, especially was it Little White Dove? I think out of all of them,
that is a more traditional Barkmarket.
We've definitely heard it before. It has some anthemic moments. It's fast and high energy. It's cool, but it doesn't leave a mark. It doesn't leave any distinct mark. Push and Air is fucking weird.
they gotta remind you.
Yeah, it's still weird. It's a lo-fi, directionless, crazy, rambling vocals with odd, shitty sounds.
And that is, even though they're more like peers, but yeah, if you like Brainiac, check out Push and Air.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more annoying than anything. Feels like a joke. It feels like a joke song.
Yeah, if you like Brainiac or Ween, like Push and Air.
I love both of them so much, and I don't like that song. I think it's funny. And I do.
I will say Closer is weak.
I like a lot of the bass lines on Johnny Shiv, the Closer, but the riffs I think are pretty weak. I think it has better arrangements than writing. Because it does feel like a lot like the rest. The opening two tracks really set you up like it's just gonna kick your ass with some solid, straightforward hard rock, and then it just gets kind of weird and then samey. It feels like it's 5 songs. It's like 15 minutes, 14 minutes, and it still feels like it doesn't know what it wants to do. It
wants to do generic, cool, hard 90s rock in the first half. Remind you they're weirdos in the middle, and then this some good standard Barkmarket for the for the day ones.
It's fun. Yeah, like if this is your first EP, it wouldn't even be a bad EP. I wouldn't recommend this as a place to start, but if it happened to be, it wouldn't be that bad. It's just not. It just feels like they're not doing enough. They're just been stagnated, like I said. And it's a little bit inconsistent and then at times annoying, but it's not bad. It's just a weird little EP. And this would be the last thing that Rick does with them because he realizes that they're not going to blow up the way he envisioned, probably.
I feel like he got it out of them on 2 songs. I
bet those 2 songs. Imagine if they leaned into that fucking jockey macho hard rock and they became super famous.
Here's the thing. I don't feel like they abandon it though.
That to this degree they do, because this is like a really intensely straightforward, simple. You could put this in a fucking action movie soundtrack and it'll slap.
If you like Filters, Hey Man, Nice Shot. How I got a few songs for you.
I don't know that song.
You know that song.
Okay, I take it back. I lied.
I'll play it for you after. It blew my mind that they wrote that song and then Take Your Picture, which that's a weird band.
Man, you're referencing all this stuff that I have no idea.
I'm gonna play both those songs for you after this, and you're not gonna believe it's the same band.
Okay, I'm
confident that you know both of them.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, my worst and least favorite. Just a bit wonky and inconsistent, and the bad outweighs the good ultimately, but still a fine EP. Next, we have another EP.
I would think, whatever. I'll share what I think after that show.
All right. But now we got they're on now Mansour Records, bit of a lesser expensive label. I wonder what happened with the other one. And yeah, I mean, here we go. This is 1995's Peacekeeper.
This was also released on vinyl only.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah, we got another vinyl rip here from the same
Guy.
same gentleman, I believe.
And not streaming as well.
Yeah, same guy. Same Yahoo group. This is like Deftones.
I know, right? Actually, Puppet 1. This fucking rules. This intro is very cool. Doing Chino Moreno before Chino Moreno.
Yeah, they did Brainiac before Brainiac.
Yep. These guys are fucking the real deal.
Yeah.
So refreshing, sweet as a bird song. It says, listen here, listen here. Please don't judge me by these actions.
Fuck yes.
It's so very like 90s.
Fuck, man. It's heavier than ever, though. Actually, lower one. My bad. Fuck yeah, dude. One of the best openers.
Yeah.
One of the best songs, really. I mean, holy shit.
Dude.
Yeah, it's a shame it's not like widely available.
It's a damn shame that this is not streaming, because when I put this song, I had to fucking do a double take. Like, what happened? What
Yeah.
the fuck happened? Because it's not just that song. That song is amazing. It's an incredible opener. And then it goes on to both the Brass Ring AAA mix and then the Brass Ring, two different songs, two completely different songs.
Yeah,
Holy shit, dude.
the AAA mix, I can't tell what is actually bad audio versus this is being like ripped from a vinyl record in the early 2000s.
Yeah, because this is
I mean,
mean,
there's purposefully, like, obviously it's called the like it's made to sound like shit.
yeah, but the whole EP is the worst produced thing since the first album.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I thought I was like, okay, so they lost all the money, they lost all the production, but I think it's just this record.
Yeah.
So the Brass Ring, the AAA mix, I mean, it is so weird, insanely low bass, like super heavy low bass. This like electronic buzzing persists throughout the whole song. The arrangements are complete chaos. The vocals are all over the. It's fucking cool.
Sounds like rapping sometimes. Sounds like metal vocals sometimes.
It's so random. And then the Brass Ring is just sludge metal.
Hell yeah,
it's
it
like
is.
their only sludge metal song.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising.
It fucking rules
Yeah.
too. They do it well.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I can't believe they only have one sludge metal song ever, and it's on an EP you can't even fucking get.
Yeah. And then yeah, I like this version of
Condemned Bank.
better.
Yeah, I think I like it better too.
Yeah, it's a little more like surreal and trippy, and
Yeah,
it somehow fits in this chaotic 3.5 song EP.
yeah, I know, because the vocals on that one are incredibly fucked up. It sounds like a spirit being tortured, something like that.
Yeah.
way more psychedelic than the original.
Mm-hmm.
It fucking rules. It ends with these really creepy, cool samples. It's like this. It's a return not only to the creepy, weird stuff from the first couple albums, but they're heavier than ever, fatter, heavier, more punishing than ever. I did not see them going in this direction at all. I was so happy. I was so happy. It's fucking 13 minutes. I think it's a 13-minute EP. It fucking gets in, gets out, and like the previous Lardroom EP, it's like it doesn't decide on doing one thing, but here it nails everything it tries. Whereas like last time, it's like, oh, we're gonna do some macho rock. Oh, we'll give back some of the tried and true Barkmarket. We'll be weird. It felt like wonky. It didn't know what it was doing. This is like, it's trying different things, but it feels just like they had it down pat. It feels like they fully realized and like, it feels more like they had fun making this. I don't know. It just feels way more natural.
I hope they had fun making that 90s hard rocks.
That's, man, I hear that. It's like, yeah, it's cool, but it feels like a job. And I hear something that fucking cool. But man, this record fucking rules. It's a shame it's not streaming. And yeah, it's a perfect segue into the final album, which we all know how I feel about this one. You ready?
I'm ready.
Hell yes. Let's do it. This is the final album. This came out in 1996. This is Elron. There's that twang.
It smells like
This song,
And Eugene vocals.
air.
yes,
Sounds just like Eugene.
this song is one of their best songs because it does all three things. There's the twang,
Yep.
there's hard rock,
Yep.
and there's noise.
Yep.
Just try not to cry.
He really does sound like Eugene here.
Not to hide.
Which is funny because I think Eugene sounds like Beefheart and Chris Cornell had a child.
That's one ugly child.
That's a beautiful baby.
I bought a handgun made out of
That slide guitar sounds so cool.
I got a hole in the side of the wild ass. I made a wheel with copper and string. And up to game, that is, intestines are sick.
Like, it's not abandoned.
It's way weirder for sure. Damn, that feels like Soundgarden actually.
I wish he got greedy on Guitar Hero and was like, have this band. I think Invisible Cow would be.
Or Visible Cow.
Oh, sorry. That might be a tough sell, but
Dude, it fucking slaps, dude.
Yeah.
Best. I mean, this album is so good. I had a feeling like after hearing Peacekeeper, I already knew like L1's probably gonna be the best one. Just knowing that they're going back and going hard. This album goes fucking hard. Every song rules. And right after that opener, we get Feed Me, which just, I mean, that bass sounds absolutely incredible. It comes in so fast. It ton of kick, such a dirty and grimy song, feels amazing. I feel like this is like their best production. It's like the most tight knit, the most I guess I would call it gluey, where everything sounds so punchy and snappy. And
yeah.
fuck, man.
I didn't feel as strongly as you did. I felt like it was kind of just like in this middle ground. But there are plenty of highlights. What do I like? How Are You? Pretty fucking good because that song.
How Are You is real good.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking fat and chunky with killer riffs, and that bass just absolutely rolls. Before that, though, we got, so for one, this thing I think is the best paced record by far, because you get like the first three tracks, which are pound you into the dirt, fuck you up, really energetic, really kick ass, and then you get Undone. Perfect pacing to throw in a track 4, slow things down, still aggressive, but much slower, very dark, beautifully written. The final section there, it's godlike. I fucking love it. And then How Are You comes in, picks it back up. Let's Soak is more that sleazy hard rock, but again, it's more Barkmarket. It's more like combining it with classic Barkmarket or like that mid period. Whereas on that EP, it was just, we're doing straight hard rock.
Yeah.
And then here are these Barkmarket songs.
Yeah.
This is like, now they're one. Now they're all one.
Is It Nice? That's like the noisiest, creepiest thing
Oh yeah.
on here.
It's really, really repetitive, almost hypnotic in a really energetic and dirty, chaotic way.
Yeah, another like more like perplexing song where maybe if you have it on the background, it sounds normal, but I think Falling is doing a lot of interesting things.
Falling fucking rules. One of their best songs. I mean, the opening riff is insane. The distortion that they're using on that song is so cool. I don't know what it is, but it's a very octave pedal sounding thing. It's fucking great.
Fresh Kills. I love the way the drums sound on that song.
Oh yeah, those toms.
They sound so good. It's like a brutal like stop song.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Very heavy mid-paced. Great busy tom work on that one.
And this is a weird comment to make. Remember when we covered Shiner? Because I sure don't.
You don't remember Shiner?
I remember them. But
Shiner's a good band. I had an unpopular pick for best for that one, but I still dig it. And the song Shiner is definitely more of the same, but it feels good. It hits hard. It has a big anthemic chorus that works too. And then another great pacer song is Drain.
I didn't like that at first, but it grew on me. It's a good song.
It's great. I think it's great. It's a little bit more emotional, a little bit darker, slower and more subdued. It's not without its anger, but it's got some fucking awesome ugly riffs on that one. Hell, out of the entire discography, this is the album that had me saying hell yes out loud over and over again. Just every time a new song would come on.
It kind of is a hell yeah album.
It fucking kicks ass. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah. Vinnie Paul should have been in this band.
Oh, I know. R.I.P. Lay Down is one of the few low point. I would call it a low point, but it's not even a bad song. It's just the least engaging, the least different. But it's also, I've said this before, perfectly placed in the album. It's the second to last song. Therefore,
that's where Mike allows songs to fail.
That is where you put them if they're not as strong, because especially if the closer is strong, then that's all you hear is the closer.
Yeah.
In between Lay Down and the closer Bootless, we have a little transition track called Into the Fear, which is it's another short lo-fi experimental transition thing. It's very rhythmic. It serves its purpose. It's only 44 seconds. It's cool. But Bootless is, man, it's like, all right, I'm going to go back to making weird lo-fi shit just for fun. And yeah, it's like, it sounds like the early albums. It's another Southern, it has like a little bit of Southernness to that one as well. It's like it feels more like an homage to like the first couple albums.
To the old them.
Yeah. It's a cool thing. It's a fun little closer, but I mean, this album, it's like a nice mix of everything. It's like intense, it's chunky and heavy, it's tight and energetic, tons of attitude. His vocals he's still doing like the really confident 90s guy thing, but it just feels better here. It's way more aggressive and harsh. And the pacing is the best, but by far. A lot of them, this one, along with a lot of other ones, they tend to get samey, but it's just executed so well. And the writing is so inventive. It's just a beast of an album. Fucking love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice variety with our picks.
Yeah. Really, not a single overlap. But with what Dave said about this album, when I was doing Barkmarket, I promised myself that I started on a 4-track. There was a financial thing, limitations. Second record was 8-track. Third record was 16-track. I promised myself when I got to 24-track that I'd get back to 4-track to make myself have to deal with limitations. I kind of never really did that. But the first track on Elron, Visible Cow, was me going back to completely lo-fi material. I just kept it, so it was more about getting the sound quality I wanted. And yeah, you definitely hear it on that first chunk. He says, but I didn't make records with 4 tracks after that. So yeah, the record was fun to make. And the funny part with Barkmarket, this is what drives me crazy. He says, I have the next record written that I finished right after that, the whole album of songs just sitting in stack, and I've never put it out. The band broke up, so I understand that, I need to finish this. I haven't yet. There's some cool songs on that record. Ha ha ha. I don't know how much of that was a typo or a bad translation, but it was written very weirdly.
Yeah.
He has a whole other Barkmarket album that he's just sitting on. And it's never going to get put out because he's too busy making millions of dollars with his job.
Well, I guess if Gas War can come out, maybe...
That's true. That is true.
Maybe this weird Barkmarket album can come out one day.
I mean, it's been more than...
20 years.
It's almost 30 years.
Yep.
It's been 27 years. Put out the next album, dude. Fuck. Shit. But
for all those fans in that Yahoo group,
do it for them.
Do it for them.
And then us. Because it's basically the only people that I've ever heard of that talk about Barkmarket. But thank you so much for listening and watching and hanging out. Let's do a little recap.
1-800-GOD-HOUSE, personal favorite. Vegas Throat, worst least favorite. Gimmick, their best.
And for me, Easy Listening, or the Easy Listening record, or the Easy Listening CD, personal favorite. That early lo-fi and weird style, but with a bunch of industrial thrown in. I love it. Lardroom, the Lardroom EP, Worsley's favorite for all the reasons I gave, and Elron best. Love it, love it, love it. But yeah, that about does it. Thank you so much to Olive Fox for requesting this on Patreon and sticking with us and giving us your money. I hope you enjoyed this. I quite enjoyed this band a lot. And if you want to do what Olive Fox did and support us, please go to Patreon, baby. Patreon.com/everyalbumever. We got a bunch of bonus episodes on there. You can see our schedules in advance. You get to vote on polls to decide who we cover next. You can also join our Discord and be a part of our community and suggest episodes for our EAE singles episodes. Any new album that's come out this year, you throw them on there and we'll pick them out and do an episode on it. And if you're tier two, just like Olive Fox, you can suggest an entire discography for us to cover on our bigger, longer episodes. And in addition to that, you can also suggest any album from any discography for us to cover on Patreon bonus episodes. So go there, do that. Thank you. You can follow me on all social media at PanderMonkey and Alex on Instagram.
Every album, Alex.
Hell yes. Please follow our history guy, Tom Osman, at Tom Osman Sounds on all social media, as well as TomOsmanSounds.com for all his music. And check out his Substack too. There's a link to all that in the description. He does interviews he's basically started his own podcast interviewing musicians. Mm-hmm. So go check that out. It's very cool stuff. And check out my debut EP. Came out not recently, but it's in there. Check it out. It's cool. Please listen to it for the love of God. And I think that about does it.
That sounds about right.
Right on. So is there anything that you would like to listen to?
I feel like you feel more strongly and you could veto this. I was going to suggest Falling or Fresh Kills.
I'm down with Falling.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. So thanks so much for listening and watching. See ya.